The Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin DLC has a lot of mysteries that people are still trying to figure out, so in this video I want to look at those top 5 mysteries and see if we can crack them open a little bit. Starting out with, why did Gregory actually betray Cassie at the end? Now I know a lot of people have made some great theories about this one, but after going back and watching the scene again, I don't believe that Gregory is responsible for making the elevator crash. In fact, I think that the Mimic is actually the true culprit here. I say this because halfway through Gregory's speech, we actually hear a bit of distortion, and then we see 2 sets of subtitles for Gregory.
Cassie, it's me. I think I need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the Pizzaplex. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Mex's security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security, and now it's free. It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory? No!
This leads me to believe that the Mimic has cut off connection between the real Gregory and Cassie, which I believe he's been doing this whole time, basically blocking Gregory from talking to Cassie. And the only reason Gregory is able to get through at this moment is because Roxy is actually distracting the Mimic enough to where he can't block Gregory. But once the Mimic takes over, I believe that he actually destroys the elevator line, making it to where Cassie cannot escape him. Another reason I believe Gregory isn't responsible for this is because he's not even at the Pizzaplex at this time. We even hear him say this when Roxy is holding off the Mimic, giving Cassie time to run. And realistically, if Gregory really wanted Cassie to be stuck there with the Mimic, then why would he lead her to the elevator in the first place? And I think the most obvious question here is, how would he actually disconnect the elevator, making it fall like that? So I think that the evidence is leaning towards the Mimic actually trying to pit Gregory and Cassie against each other, especially considering that Roxy is actually on Cassie's side and is still alive at the end of the game. And we know that Roxy has a deep hatred for Gregory because he took her eyes. And this seems to set up an interesting dynamic for the next DLC, where maybe we have these 2 kids each who have an animatronic on their side and are kind of against each other because of the Mimic's influence. The next character I want to talk about is Glamrock Bonnie. And the only reason I found this character is from watching other YouTubers, because if I'm being honest, I had no idea that this character was even in the game. Now, a lot of people are saying that Glamrock Bonnie was actually killed by Monty here. When you look at the scene, it appears that Bonnie's chest has been ripped open by some claws, and he also has some green spots on his body, and you see footprints that look like Monty's walking away from the scene. My problem with this theory is that the claws that people are talking about belong to Bonnie originally, if I remember correctly, so Monty wouldn't have even had the claws to begin with at that point. Also, I believe that at this time, Bonnie and Monty were actually friends. When you go back to the first game, there's actually a line that says Bonnie used to sneak over to Monty's area to visit him. And there's also a scene here in the DLC where you're riding on the dinosaurs and you see Monty and Bonnie actually being friendly on the little wall art. And I think the most important piece of art that we see there is Bonnie handing his guitar over to Monty, which kind of disproves this idea that Monty actually kills Bonnie out of jealousy or anything like that. And it seems almost more like Bonnie was mentoring Monty. Now, even though I have no evidence to back it up, I believe that Bonnie was ripped up by the security bots and Monty actually tried to save him. Because if you look at Bonnie closely, he looks like he's been ripped up just like Freddy was ripped up by the security bots. So it would be no surprise if the security bots could do that to Bonnie as well. And I think the reason that there's evidence of Monty being there is because Monty probably tried to save his friend. But right now, that's just my theory, and I'm hoping that we actually get to see more of Glamrock Bonnie in the next DLC. Now, another character that has people confused is the prototype Freddy, aka Glamrock Freddy, as some people are thinking. The major reason behind this theory is that the prototype Freddy appears in the Phaser Blast, which is where Glamrock Freddy was actually ripped apart by the staff bots.
Disassemble Freddy.
And of course, the prototype is missing a head, which is how the redemption ending actually concludes. Now, I was like a lot of other people who didn't believe that this theory could be true because I didn't see Monty's claws on this version of Freddy. But when you go back and actually look at the Princess Quest ending, you'll see that when the staff bots disassemble Freddy, they actually take the claws as well, which makes sense. So for the people who think that the Vanny ending is actually like the true ending, they may not be that far off from being true. Now, another big question that a lot of people have had is who is Cassie's father? Now, I think it's obvious that Cassie's father will actually play a role in the next DLC or maybe in a standalone game because he's been mentioned several times in the Ruin DLC. Now, a lot of people are saying that Cassie's father is Michael, and I don't think that this is possible or likely. While I know that Michael was a technician, from my understanding, Michael never had children. Another reason I don't believe this theory is that when you look at the Bonnie lunchbox, it states that Bonnie was her father's favorite character. And if you know the history of Michael, there's no way that Bonnie would have been his favorite character. I think this speech from his father will kind of explain that a little bit.
How could you do that to your own father? I hate you. I've always hated you. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to make it hurt. Oh, how I miss the way you used to cry when I screamed at you. It's going to get so much worse. I'm going to get out, and I'm going to find you, and I'll give you a real reason to cry.
Also, Michael seemed to have more of an affinity for Foxy, but there's no mention of him when we actually find the Foxy lunchbox in the game. And while I know it may seem like a cop-out answer, I just believe that we don't have enough evidence right now to clearly say who Cassie's father is. But we can say definitively that it's not Michael. Next, let's talk about the Candy Cadet. This character is interesting because near the end of the game, it seems like he's trying to warn Cassie with his story.
Candy, now I will tell you a story about a mother and a little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped prowling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day when mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door.
Now there are 6 main points to this story that we need to consider. We have the mother, the basement, the cabin, the little boy, the monster, and the lullaby. I believe that the mother is supposed to be Gregory, and the lullaby is actually his voice. The cabin is the pizzaplex, and the basement is the underground area, of course. The little boy is Cassie, and the monster is the mimic. And I find it really interesting here that the Candy Cadet is one of the few animatronics that has actually survived all this chaos, and in its vague way is actually trying to help Cassie. She's just too young to actually understand the story. And with that being said, make sure to put your own theories down in the comments, and if there's anything you think I got wrong, make sure to put it down in the comments as well, because I'd like to hear your guys' theories. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video on the screen here, subscribe today to become a member of the Orseofkorse, and let me know if you want me to do some other things outside of Friday Night Funkin'. I've been trying some things here and there, but let me know down in the comments and we'll adjust. We'll see y'all in the next video. Peace, peace.